President Obama is trying to laugh off the last opposition to the Affordable Care Act actually going into practice. Whether you believe that he's actually that calm about it or not, he has some context for us. And so he's going to look back to how Reagan originally opposed some similar programs and how he came around. So first, President Obama.
You know, we may not get that same level of cooperation from Republicans right now. But the good news is, I believe eventually they'll come around. Because Medicare and Social Security face the same kind of criticism. Before Medicare came into law, one Republican warned that one of these days you and I are going to spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it once was like in America when men were free. That was Ronald Reagan. And eventually Ronald Reagan came around to Medicare and thought it was pretty good and actually helped make it better.
So President Obama is referring to back in the 60s, Reagan's initial opposition. We actually have some vintage Reagan audio for you. It's going to be pretty awesome. So we've got two different sections, him talking back in 1961. Let's listen.
This threat is with us and at the moment is more imminent. One of the traditional methods of imposing statism or socialism on a people has been by way of medicine. It's very easy to disguise a medical program as a humanitarian project. Most people are a little reluctant to oppose anything that suggests medical care for people who possibly can't afford it. So, with the American people on record as not wanting socialized medicine, Congressman Farrand introduced the Farrand Bill. This was the idea that all people of Social Security age should be brought under a program of compulsory health insurance. Now, Congressman Farrand brought the program out on that idea of just for that particular group of people. But Congressman Farrand was subscribing to this foot-in-the-door philosophy because he said, if we can only break through and get our foot inside the door, then we can expand the program after that. Now, what reason could the other people have for backing a bill which says we insist on compulsory health insurance for senior citizens on a basis of age alone, regardless of whether they are worth millions of dollars, whether they have an income, whether they're protected by their own insurance, whether they have savings? I think we could be excused for believing that, as ex-Congressman Farrand said, this was simply an excuse to bring about what they wanted all the time, socialized medicine.
And of course, eventually most Republicans at least need to pretend that they're in favor, of Medicare, Medicaid. Reagan eventually, you were implying that he had
passed Cobra.
Cobra, exactly.
That was his legislation.
Exactly, and some other expansions. And so President Obama feels like that's what happened with Social Security, that's what happened with Medicare and Medicaid, and he believes that eventually it will happen with Obamacare as well. So one final video, we're going to go to video 2, talking about what he thinks will eventually happen once people understand what's actually in the Affordable Care Act.
And once it's working really well, I guarantee you they will not call it Obamacare. Here is a prediction for you. A few years from now, when people are using this to get coverage and everybody's feeling pretty good about all the choices and competition that they've got, there are going to be a whole bunch of folks who say, no, I always thought this provision was excellent. I voted for that thing.
Wow.
You watch.
I think he's probably right there.
Yeah, so there's so much I love there. First of all, on Reagan. They always disguise the socialist dictatorship in the form of humanitarian programs meant to help the humans. And it's easy to say in a democracy, hey, maybe we should help people who are dying. That gets a lot of votes. Yeah, maybe you should. Yeah, it's not a bad thing.
People are always, the thing we got, Jimmy, people are always hesitant to oppose a program that will help people get medical coverage, especially if they're sick and can't afford it.
So perhaps we should do that. And we did, and then it was massively and wildly popular. And Medicare recently, in a poll, they asked people, would you cut Medicare under any circumstance? 84% of Americans said we would not cut it under any circumstance. I don't care what your other thing is. Well, what if you don't, we can't go to war. If you don't, we can't do this, we can't do that. No. I don't care what you think. It's not that it's 84% popularity. It's that 84% of Americans say do not touch it under any goddamn circumstance. And so Reagan apparently was right. All across America, they're now saying that goddamn Congressman Farran. That is stupid, Bill. He damned us all. Damned us all. We're no longer free.
He did say that they're not going to call it Obamacare, which is correct. I didn't think about
totally
that,
true.
but it's totally true because they don't call Medicare LBJ care, and they don't call Social Security FDR retirement. You know what I mean? They took their names away from it as soon as possible because people do like it.
And so that's how you'll know when they're finally giving up.
And that,
they'll stop referring
when they stop
to it as
referring
that,
it to Obama. One more thing, if I can, Ben. Let me just say this, and we worry about Medicare, and I worry about Medicare from the Democrats, right? Because David Frum made the point that they will never defund Medicare because the party that defunds Medicare will be immediately thrown out of power. And I kind of agree with that. So that kind of gives me solace. And
No, that's why they're going to make the Democrats.
That's why they're going to make the Democrats. That's what I think. Yeah, you're right. Okay, so I feel shitty again.
Thanks. No problem. Anytime.
Yeah, welcome back.
I've been complaining. We got some figures on it. John does here about the public responds better to the Affordable Care Act than they do Obamacare. And during the campaign, because it was the signature piece of legislation for the president, that would be the kind way to look at it. Even the Democrats, even the Obama administration and the campaign insisted on calling it Obamacare, even though that had a negative connotation for voters, whereas the Affordable Care Act, let alone the specifics of the bill, were enormously popular. Now that they still call it Obamacare, I find it just flat out irritating. Like, call it the Affordable Care Act, stop calling it Obamacare, except for the fact that I think he's right, it will be an enormous part of his legacy, and he don't want to call it anything except Obamacare, or I fear that that's the reason.
Because he's proud of it.
Because he's proud of it, right.
And he wants to say, look, I'm historic.
Right, that's right.
You know, there's Medicare and then there was Obamacare, right?
Which is a bummer,
Yeah.
because you should call it whatever helps it succeed right now.